everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to the Skill Up Show. Who is in the house? The Skill Up Show is on. If you are in the house, let me see you in the comments. If you are here with me, welcome to the Skill Up Show. And in the show today, we are going to be talking about the power of positive parenting and how it helps our children's development and growth. Welcome to the Skill Up Show. That's show where we talk about parenting and how we can skill up ourselves as parents so that we are able to skill up our children. My name is Maribeth Chima, and I am the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and PTM Resources. And yes, I am the host of the Skill Up Show. All right, if you are here with me, don't just be in the background. If you're here, please say something in the comments so that we know that we have you with us and we know that you are following. If you are a parent of a preteen, a parent of a teenager, preteen, a parent of a toddler, and yes, even if you are a parent of a teenager, then this show is beneficial to you. So if you are here right now and you have someone that you know who should always also be here, why don't you go ahead and tag them, all right, on Facebook? Tag them so that they can be a part of the stream this afternoon. If you are on YouTube, why don't you share a link with someone who needs to be here? And yes, if you are not following us on YouTube yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscription button so that you can follow us, and of course hit the notification so that every time we come live you are notified and you can be a part of the show. If you are here, then good, let's move, because today we are looking at how we can be positive parents. All right, who is a positive parent? All right, let's look at all of this today. Who's a positive parent? How can our positivity as parents, how can it be beneficial to the growth and the development of our children? Of course, if you do not know me, then you're not there. You should know me, right? You should know me, of course, if you have a child who is a preteen and a young child, a school age child, a preteen, then you should know me, because yes, I am the biggest cheerleader of young children, school age children, and preteens, because I believe so deeply that there is so there is a lot that we can do, that we can achieve for and with our young children, if we can get them to be self-aware as early as possible. So I believe that there is a lot for your 8-year old, your 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12-year olds, for your 13 and 14-year olds. There's a lot that we can do for them, and there's a lot that they can do for themselves if we can get them on the journey to self awareness, on the journey to self awareness and understanding, right? The gifts that they have, the talents that they have, being able to make informed decisions early, and of course, being able to navigate, through life. Of course, all of this is with us empowering them to be skillful and, of course, to be aware of themselves. So, self awareness is huge. And this is the time to get our children in that space where they become self aware. At this point, where they are 6 and 7, between 6 and age 14, we can put in a lot in there when it comes to our children, knowing who they are, knowing what they are capable of, understanding their emotions, understanding their values, and of course, using those values to navigate through life. So, welcome to the show. I wrote a post this morning and I started by saying that a lot of times, when as parents we hear about positive parenting, when we say positive parenting, the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, they've come again. They don't want us to spank our children, and they don't want us to yell at our children. Yes, we don't want you to spank your child. We don't want you to yell at your child. We don't want you to at your child, not simply because we don't want you to, but because we know that there are many other ways. We know that there are simpler ways to get your children to the point where you want them to get to without having to treat them in that way that is derogatory, without having to treat them in a demeaning way. So yes, but that isn't all that being positive as a parent is about, or positive parenting is about. That is just a pinch, okay? A pinch, like a pinch of salt when it comes to the whole idea of positive parenting. It's not just about yelling and about whooping or spanking your children. Is much more than that. All right. A positive parent is a parent who is fostering a loving and supportive environment. Yes, if you're able to foster a loving, supportive, and respectful environment where your children can grow, where they can feel safe, where our children can explore, they can learn, and they can grow. When we are about this, then we say we are being positive. We're positive parenting, or we are positive parents. So, dear parents, are you that person? What is it that you want for your child, dear parents? What is it that you want for your child? What is the vision that you have for your child? Where is it that you are taking your child to? Now, if you know where you are going to, you have this vision, you know the kind of child that you want to raise. Do you know the how is very critical? The how is very important. And if you will ever get to that destination, especially if that destination is positive, especially if that destination, right, is something that will lead your child to live in the purpose that God has created them, if that destination is what will lead your child to become an impactful person to the world, to their generation, then the way you go about it is very important. The way you go about it is everything. Yes, and that's what we're talking about today. What are you going to do to foster an environment? Because we know that the environment and the experiences that our children have is what will lead them to become what it is that God has created them to be. So the purpose for which God has created us, the vision that you have for that child, is only going to be achieved, or you're only going to achieve it, right, when you create the right environment for them to achieve that vision. When you create the right environment for them to achieve the purpose that God has created them for. Now, that environment is what we are talking about. A positive parent creates, or positive parenting is creating an environment that's conducive environment, what that fosters love, that fosters support and respect, that environment where your child feels safe, that environment where your child can explore independently, where your child can be supported by the people in that environment, where your child can learn, and of course, where your child can grow without hindrance. This is what it is to be a positive parent. This is what it is to actually embark on positive parenting. All right? A positive parent is a parent that is intentional about every aspect of their journey. A positive parent is a parent who plans out their journey. A positive parent does not does not follow the crowd, right? As my coach would put it. A positive parent is not someone who wings and gets, to their destination by chance. A positive parent is not that parent who thinks that parenting is about luck. There is nothing like luck, dear parents. There is nothing like luck in parenting. All right, what you put in what is what you sow, basically, is what you will reap in your parenting. So a positive parent is a parent who is intentional about parenting and is intentional about every phase of their parenting. So are you a positive parent? Is your parenting positive? All right, so let's talk about what you will look like, or what it would look like. How do you know that you are practicing positive parenting? All right, I'm going to take us through a few things that you would do that will help you know, or a few things that you will see. Now, when you see this, then you know something. I'm on track. I am on track practicing this positive parenting that we are talking about. Number one, you are working with a plan and with partners and collaborators. Yes, a positive parent understands that their child has got different needs. A positive parent has a vision, right? And of course, a goal. And of course, creates plans to achieve that goal or that vision. Now, a positive parent also knows that it takes partnership and collaboration for them to help their child reach that big vision, because the vision should be so big that you will need support to reach it. If your vision is so small that you alone can carry out that vision for the child to reach that vision, right, then that vision is really small, right? If you are looking at helping the child to become everything that God has created them to be, right, you are looking at helping the child to live in their purpose, then you would understand that there are different aspects of that purpose. There are different aspects, that will make up the purpose of your child. So your child is going to have to grow in different dimensions, all right? In the mastermind circle, our peer mentorship and accountability group that we run for young children and preteens, where we mentor young children, right, to become resourceful and productive, teenagers. In that circle, we have 10 areas, right? 10 areas of education, 10 dimensions that we work through, or we work the children through in order to help the children gain effective education. So when you understand that there are different facets, right, to your to your child's becoming, then you will begin to look at the people that God has put in your path, or the people that God has destined to be helpers and collaborators with you for your child to reach their purpose, or for your child to grow effectively and develop effectively. So, yes, one of the ways that you know that you're practicing positive parenting is that you have a plan, you have a vision, and then, of course, you are using that plan and you are working with that plan to reach your destination. In that plan, you will have partners and collaborators that will work with you. Some of these partners will be the school. So, yes, your child is going to school for a reason, because you want to partner with with the teachers and with the school and all of that. You could actually choose to homeschool, right? That's fine. But in that, you will also have a curriculum that has been created by someone, perhaps, that you are partnering with, right? In your being, a homeschool, a schooler, or whatever it's called, homeschool parents, right? You will have people that you're partnering with and you are collaborating with. Please don't ever do life alone, right? Because your perspective is too limited to raise a global citizen. Your perspective is too limited to raise a whole human being. You want to stretch your child, right? You want to stretch your child. You want to open up opportunities to your child. You want to help your child harness different perspective, right? You want them to have a growth mindset. You want them to access different, ideas and different, perspective to life. So yes, you need trusted partners and collaborators, coaches and mentors. Yes, you want to have these people in the life of your child. So when you see a parent who understands this and is working like this, then or when you as a parent find yourself in that place, you know that, okay, I am getting better when it comes to this positive parenting. And then even you on your journey, who are the people who are holding you accountable? Do you have collaborators? Do you have partners? Okay, or are you winging parenting, or are you doing parenting by your terms or by the template with which you are parenting? Are you upgrading your parenting knowledge? This is what we mean when we say you need partners and you need collaborators. Are you upgrading the knowledge that you have of parenting? Are you upgrading what it is that you learned? What it is that parenting obtained, right, when you were growing up? You are raising you're raising in a different generation. You are raising a different set, children who are different, right? The times are different from when it is that you were raised. So the template with which you were raised is not adequate. Okay, the template with which you were raised can't be adequate for you can be adequate for you to raise someone in this generation. So, how are you upgrading your knowledge, basically? So, when you are doing this, then you know you are on the path to positive parenting. Number two, do you apply empathy and understanding in your relationship with your child? And I'm not talking about being permissive as a parent, where your children have their way, where your children have, do whatever it is that they like, or they have their way every time. I'm talking about you being empathetic and being understanding, meeting your child's emotional needs and connecting with that child. All right. Are you listening to your child's emotion per time? Are you paying attention to your child's emotion per time? Are you paying attention to your child's perspective, per time? All right. When you are like this, then do you apply empathy in your relationship with your child, right? In being firm as a parent, in being the guardian as a parent, do you apply empathy? I'll give you a little story. All right. So in our home, right, this year, our big goal. So we have one big goal. So the children in the mastermind circle, we have encouraged and guided them to set one big goal for the year, like one thing this year that you want to like nail, one thing that you want to get so right that you can actually trace the process. You can actually trace the process. You can trace your journey, and you can see, how you achieved that goal come alive one step after the other. So that's what we're doing. So in our home, my children are both, in the mastermind circle. And so their big goal is self-management, right? So my children are this year they are focused on managing themselves. So self-management, of course, includes time management, and all of that. And as a result of that, we created goals for the year. We've done our vision board. They have their vision board hanging in their room, and all of that. And so they are making efforts. They are working towards this. So I am their accountability partner. I'm one of those who is holding them accountable. They have other accountability partners, but I am one of those holding them accountable. And so, as a result, there are things that we have put in place. And one of them is that you have to, there's a time to go to school. So, if you don't make school at a particular time, it means that you are not ready. You are not ready, to go to school that day. And we're going to enforce the consequence for that. All right. So, today it was it was really bad. It was obvious that they didn't plan for school at all yesterday, right? And because we are we're at that phase. Our son is 15. So he's at that phase where he's doing a lot of self-direction and self-leadership. All right. So we don't micromanage them anymore. We give them allowance. We trust them. All right. There are prompts here and there. All right. But of course, he's in that season where he needs to take responsibility. And so this morning, it was so obvious, right? Because this morning, he's there looking for his socks. This morning, they're looking for little things that should have been put in place yesterday. Why is that so? All right. So it got to a time, and, Daddy and I decided, okay, it's obvious that you didn't plan to go to school today. So everybody stays back. If you didn't plan to go to school, then you don't get to go to school. All right. And so my children love to go to school. I don't know about your children. My children love, love, love to go to school. All right. And so it became a theme of negotiation. He's like, I'm done. I'm really done. It's actually my sister, his younger sister was the one with the issue. But because he is mentoring her, all right, because he's mentoring her and he's responsible for part of her preparation and all of that. So he had some blame, and all of that. And so it became a negotiation thing, and it was like, please, can you just give us so and so amount of time? If we're able to get everything that is left done from now to so and so time, is it possible? And I'm like, it's not a problem. Now, this is where empathy comes in. All right. It's not a problem. So we're able to chill a little or relax, the consequence a little. This is it. You have another 20 minutes. If you are able to do what you're supposed to do in that 20 minutes, it's okay. You can go to school, but in public transport this time, I'm not going to take you anymore. That is not taking you anymore. You can go in public transport this time. And yes, you are going to have to foot the bill yourself. They earn allowances. Our son does a business, so you're going to have to foot that bill on your own. And that became it. So you could just see everybody running around trying to get what was left done, and all of that. Eventually they made and they took, a cab and then went to school. Now, empathy came in at this point because yes, they have, they this is week three. This is week three, yes. And then, of course, week three, I think this is week three. And of course, in week three, they've done well week one, week two. Week three, there's a they failed in week three, or there was a setback in week three. But hey, there is room for mistakes. But hey, we also have consequences. The consequences will hold, but we're able to, relax the rule a little, so far as the consequence will hold. All right. So empathy, understanding needs to come in. So when you are applying understanding and empathy in your relationship, then you know that you are being positive as a parent. Okay. Number three, you are focused on their efforts more than you are focused on the outcome. So that's what also played in today's situation. The outcome is that you are ready and you go to school at a particular time. Now I looked at it and I saw that, okay, for him, our son, he was practically ready. It's just that he didn't take the person that happens to be a part of his responsibility along. It's a team thing, and we agreed on this. All right. We agreed on this. But then again, I was able to look and say, okay, he made the effort. He did, on a scale of 1 to 10, he's somewhere at a 7. All right. So let's give him an opportunity to up it to, say, a 9, and get the small consequence and still have his way anyway. And that's what happened. And that's what happened, though. That's what played out today. So, as a parent, when you look at your journey and you see that you are focused on the effort more than it is that you are focused on the outcome, then you know that you are practicing positive parenting, or at least you are practicing some part of it, and all of it will come together, to help you become a positive parent. All right. Number four, when you are open to communication as a parent, okay, you have a relationship with your children, you have an environment in your home that fosters dialogue, all right, where your children can talk to you about how they feel, can talk to you about what they are comfortable, what they're comfortable with, where your children can express themselves, express their thoughts comfortably without feeling suppressed. Right. When you have this kind of environment in your home, then you know that you are practicing positive parenting. Now, if you are a parent that your children practically walk on stones and glasses when you are around, if you're a parent that your children have to consistently lie, when you notice that your children are consistently lying to get away from trouble, then it might just be a reason for you to stop and look at your system again. Are we saying that, we don't find out somewhere, that our children will lie here and there? When this becomes consistent, okay, in fact, the moment you find out that your children are lying to get away from trouble, okay, it's that, of course, on its own is a red flag for you to go back and adjust some part of your parenting, how empathetic you are, how structured your system is, and how much your children understand the place of consequences, and then how, of course, effective your consequences are. Your consequences should be such that your children do not see them as punishment. Your children see them as what they earned. Yes, help your children see consequences as what they earned, such that they take on those consequences, right, with a reflection, knowing that, see how I goofed, see what I brought upon myself. If your children are still throwing a tantrum, especially if they are preteens, remember, we work with preteens, okay? So if your toddler is still throwing a tantrum, your toddler is still a work in progress. Work on it. Everybody's a work in progress. But then again, for your toddler, the toddler doesn't understand it yet, and that's understandable because your toddler is between 1 and 5. All right, so go back and try to teach this in a way and reinforce it. Go on and on, right? When they throw the tantrum, stay in there with them. Be emotionally present when your child is going through, a meltdown or is throwing a tantrum over a consequence. Be emotionally present in that you're there saying, okay, I understand how you feel right now, and I need you to calm down. Let's talk when you are done, with how you feel. I understand validate your child's feelings, dear parents. Validate those feelings. It's not just for today, it's for later, it's for the future. We raise emotionally stable people when we allow them go through their emotions. We validate the emotions. We allow them feel the emotions and go through them and come out of the emotions. Let them go through their emotions full circle. Stop cutting them short. Stop shutting them down. Stop, pushing them around when they are going through, an emotion, big emotions or something like that. When you do that, you do not allow that emotion go full circle. What you're doing, you are teaching, or you are helping that child suppress their emotions. It leads to many things. It leads to some of them being jealous people, bitter people, angry people, judgmental people. There's a lot that happens, right, that you will not see today, that will manifest when they are teenagers, young adults, and adults. So that's why you look around and you see very angry people. We say Nigerians are very angry. If you want to know how angry Nigerians are, go on social media. You just see you trying to praise someone's effort or praise something that someone has done, and you will see people in the comments trying to say, I beg you. We are such, angry people, bitter people. A lot of it is because a lot of our emotions were suppressed when we were growing up. Suppression of emotions here, there, and all of that. How you beat a child and you tell the child to shut up. How a child is pained and you tell the child to shut up. How a child falls down, right, and then you beat the child on top because I told you not to go there, you went there. It doesn't stop the fact that the child is going through pain at that time, right? It's a lot, right? So help allow the children go through those emotions, validate those emotions, and all of that. Now, when they are done, let them understand the place of the consequence. The consequence will hold amid me understanding how you feel. Consequences are consequences. We need to learn how to be consistent with our consequences. This is how our children would know, all right, or this is how our children will stop testing the waters. Because a lot of times what our children do is they stretch you, they test the waters, they see how far you can hold on to those consequences, they see how far you can hold on to the things that you say. And when they test it one, two times and they see that, it's just mouth, they know that they can call your bluff at any time. And so that kind of child is not, you're not able to influence that kind of child. You're not able to make that kind of child do the right thing, because the child knows that you're all mouth, you're all talk, you're all cheap talk, and nothing would really happen. So yes, allow them go through, whatever consequences, but show them empathy, right, in all of it. All right, so focus on their efforts and not on just the results. You would realize that the more you focus on the effort, the more they will meet those expectations that we have. Because when we focus on the effort, we help them build confidence. When we focus on their effort, they want to do more. They become self-motivated. They move their motivation from you to them. The motivation moves from external to intrinsic or internal motivation, right? When, of course, you validate them, you support them, of course, and then, of course, you put the right consequences in place amid you validating how they feel per time. All right, I talked about open communication, dialogue, and all of that. The next one is you must, when you know that you have set clear and consistent boundaries. A positive parent sets clear and consistent boundaries. Your children know what is acceptable in your home and what is not acceptable. When your children get to the point where they can say to their friends and people who come into your home, oh, we don't do that here. Oh, we don't accept this here. All right. When your children own your boundaries, when your children own your values, when your children begin to own the things that apply in your home, and they don't just approach it as our parents being parents. They don't just, approach it or talk about it as our parents being all stuck up. When your children take it as our thing, when they see it as them being a part of it, all right, then we know that your children are already convinced by your convictions and they've imbibed your values, your ideology, and all of this. They can pass they can send a message clearly to anyone around We don't do that here. All right. So set consistent and clear boundaries so that we know this is who we are. These are the standards that we operate under. This is the standard that holds us, that bounds us on this matter. This is how we do our things in this home, right? Positive parenting ensures that you put this in place. Now, when you put this in place, you realize that everyone will fall to the standard of your system. You will fall to the standard of that system. Your children will fall to the standard of that system. Your entire family will fall to the standard of that system. And when you do, now this is positive parenting and this is effective parenting. All right, the next one is you are patient and understanding. All right, you understand where your child is per time, the season of their life per time, what's brain development or what is happening in your child's brain per time, right? A positive parent understands and, of course, does not set bogus ambitions, does not have bogus ambitions or set, big or tall, expectations. It is because we set bogus and, tall expectations. That's why we are constantly beating our children and getting, that's why we're always disappointed, because you are not facing your reality. You cannot ask a child. I saw a video today that was done by a child somewhere on YouTube, sorry, on Instagram, and she was saying, "Oh, dear parents, sometimes you are angry at your child, you are beating and you are yelling at them. But the truth about it, the reason they are not doing what you want to see is because you probably have not told them this is what I want to see per time. All right, they don't know what they're supposed to do in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening." All right, and you have not broken it down, right, to the point that the children understand it, right? That's why they may not, be doing these things. Okay, now, yes, I know you are saying, please, do you know how many times I've told them? It's not about telling, it's about doing. Okay, so when we have expectations, okay, don't expect from a child what you have not taught the child. Okay, do not expect from a child what you haven't taught the child. And teaching is not a one off thing. If not, we will go to school and we will graduate in a short time. Teaching is a long process. It entails repetition. It entails a lot of patience. That is why your child learns fraction from year 3, from when they are 3 years old till they leave secondary school. They are learning fraction, because fraction is not, you're not going to teach them everything about fraction at once. You're going to teach them in beats and you're going to teach them repeatedly. That's why, as a teacher, I'm an educator, so I can tell you this for free. Okay, as a teacher, you're teaching a lesson, all right, and that lesson is for an entire week. You realize that you don't just teach it on Monday. You break it down on Monday and then you teach that lesson from Monday through Friday. Sometimes you have to teach that lesson for 2 weeks or something like that. Why is that so? Because we understand that repetition is the mother of all learning. Okay, repetition is how children learn. You have to keep repeating yourself and you have to be patient. All right, some children will get it at once. Some children will take a longer period. Some children will take 3 times, 4 times, the amount of time that it took for the first child to get it. That is why there is differentiation in school. That is why, children are paced differently. All right, so you as a positive parent would understand this, that your child is differently, children can be paced differently. That child A can get it or got it when they were 2 years old, and your 4-year-old hasn't gotten it yet. Does not mean that your 4-year-old has got a problem. It just simply means that your 4-year-old is different. Obviously so, isn't it? The 4-year-old is different. So you need to know where the child is per time. You need to know their strength. You need to know their competencies. You need to know, what the child can do or can't do, their strength and their weaknesses. And then you need to you need to plan, to teach them. You need to have a plan for teaching. And of course, in that plan, you must include repetition. In that plan, you must, include pacing. In that plan, you must include, right, the child's personality and how the child learns best, because each child learns differently. So when you have all of these things, of course, you must be someone that is positive, and you are always reinforcing. So when you have all of this in place, then you know you are on your journey as a positive parent, right? This is positive parenting when you have this in place, when you are empathetic as a parent, where you are focused on the process and on the journey and not just on the outcome, when you are open to communication, right? And you create a communication line in your home where your child knows that they can always reach you through the passage of that communication line. When you have clear and consistent boundaries in your home, when you have systems, routines, right? And you are not micromanaging that home, you have systems and routines, and your child is getting skilled, right? And enforcement as the child is growing. Reinforcement, basically, okay? When you are patient and understanding, all right? When you have all of this, then you are practicing positive parenting. It means that you are also intentional. Now, how can we talk the impact of positive parenting when we are still in that place where some of us are still arguing or are constantly comparing how our parents raised us and how we are raising our children today? How can we move when we are insisting on using the same templates that were used to parent us? Some of us, how you will know that you're using your parents parent templates is when your children, when you're parenting your children and certain things come up. Probably, some of us, when we have newborn children, and some of us want to insist on doing the same things that our parents did, right? The way grandma comes around and your mom comes around, and she's insisting on using a lantern to put in your child's navel. She's insisting on all of those things. All right. All of those things that they did in the past at the point where technology wasn't so advanced, at the point where medical practice or medical interventions have not advanced. All right. So if you are a visionary person, if you are someone who believes in growth, and growth basically, then you should know that there is a lot of growth that is, there's growth is happening all around us, growth and development happening all around us. Now, if you're accepting growth and development in other areas, how come you just single out parenting and refuse that there is no growth or advancement that is happening in this area? For instance, I'm sure you don't use the television, right? The TV in your home is nothing close to what the TV was like when you were a child, right? In fact, the TV that I used as a student in the university, my children saw a picture of it the other day and they had a good laugh. Now, when was that? That's not even up to 25 years ago, right? If I'm not mistaken. That wasn't, and then you are insisting, you are 30, you are 40, you are 50, and you are insisting that the templates that your parents used to raise you 40 years ago should be taken and applied like that, exactly the way it is with your child. Now, that thing is a way that you know that some of these things that we insist on is just because they serve us. Is if you are insisting on some of those things, how come you accept some part of advancement and you don't accept others, right? Why are you not using the telephone, that one that we go, what's it, the one with the cradle that you go 080? Why are you not using that in your home? We're insisting on giving our children mobile phones. Why are you giving your child mobile phones? Why are you insisting on giving the same 14, 13-year-old that you have refused to parent in a certain way because all these people and their new ways? I beg, I beg, I beg. Did our parents not do this? Did we die? But your parents did not give you phones. Why are you giving your child phone? You did not use phones then. Did you die? Why are the children using all of this technology that you're using right now? You went to public school, like real public schools, right? Why is your child in that other school that they are? You went there and you still came out as something. So the thing is, we are picking and choosing what it is that we want to accept. And if you are sincere to yourself, you will realize that you are only picking the things that serve you, and you don't want to embrace the things that do not serve you. So, dear parents, if modernization and all of what we have today, if we're accepting them, then there is a need to go and upgrade what you know as parenting, right? If you're not upgrading your parenting, it may be difficult for you to practice positive parenting in today's world, because the way our parents parented, as good as it was, okay, as in, I mean, as good as their intentions were, okay, may not serve your child in today's world. So let's look at parenting, right, in the last two generations, or sorry, in the last 2 centuries. Let's look at parenting, in the 20th century, and thereabouts, when we were parented probably, right, and then parenting as we have it today. And let's see how this is. Now, back in the day, 20 is even close. Back in the day, 30 years ago, or so, when we were parented, right? When some of us were parented 30 years ago, 20, 40 years ago, all right, the emphasis on parenting was on obedience and conformity. All right, so our parents were so stuck on us obeying them and conforming to whatever it is that they said we should do. So what happened in those times is that our creativity was stalled. Our parents thought for us. Our parents chose careers for us. Our parents thought of what we should be doing. There were things that you did. I remember back then, my older brothers used to play football, and my father didn't see the place of football in anything. He fought against football as if it was a personal attack on him. Basically, he fought against my brothers playing football, and they were so good. My goodness, they were so good, these boys. I remember then I was a lot young. I was very young, of course. I was a little child, probably 5 and 6 and 7. I remember how my brothers, we used to live in Lagos at the time. So I remember how my brothers would go for tournaments in Ibadan. They would go for tournaments in Benin. They were traveling around the country for one tournament or the other because they belonged to a football academy. And I know how a number of times their coach and the people in the team will have to come home to come and beg my military father to allow his sons, right, to go for tournaments. Okay. Sometimes, he allowed, I don't know how it happened, but I know as they grew older, it became such a problem. So they never made anything out of that career. They never even tried to do anything beyond just playing football in that academy, in primary and secondary school, and all of that. Now, think about it, that my father was more, my father had to, okay, my father is of late memory. So think about it today, that my father was raising them in this generation where we're talking about the Messis, the Ronaldos, we're talking about all the Pep Guardiola, just being, a coach, being a coach and what that means. We're talking about, all of the opportunities that come with being that. We're talking about people who are in this career and how they are impacting the world, right, through the sports, through their philanthropic activities, and all of that, right? Imagine that my father is in this generation. My father will look at this differently. So this is what we are talking about. Now, we can't take, that's what I'm saying, you can't take a bit of okay, when it comes to that football, I understand. No. So you can't keep choosing what works for you, okay? What works for you, right? And abandoning what does not work for you. You can't keep choosing the ones that you can accept, and the one that does not allow you to do anyhow. You insist. Okay, oh, we must reset their brain. We must reset their brain. Oh no, they can go to football academy. I understand that part, but no, 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 I don't want to. No, you can't choose and pick. We would have to be positive, all right, or we would have to be more objective about these things, all right. So that's it. So that's one of the things, our parents just wanted to say this is what to do and you obey. I remember back then we had a lot of experiences in my home. I remember back then my older sister was so business inclined. Yeah, she was so business inclined, and I was really young, and I remember her and my dad having an argument one particular time. I was really young, so it's bits and pieces in my head, right? And I remembered her saying, I don't know the full gist of that, of that altercation. But I know that it had something to do with her doing something that is business inclined, and my father insisting, on school, and all of that. And I don't know how that ended. She went to school somehow and all, but I know that it was a big issue. Whether she wanted to do business, I can't remember. But my sister was always business inclined, and even today, right? Today, she's in her 50s, and today that's what she's about. One business after the next business, and all of that. Anything that there is to go into, my sister, is that's it for her. All right. So these are the issues. These are the things we are talking about. So our parents back then just wanted you to conform. They just wanted us to obey. We go left, you go left. We say right, we say. So it stifled a lot of us. It stifled a lot of children at the time, right? Where creativity was stalled, right? Children were not allowed to be as creative. Children were not allowed to be expressive. A lot of time, children got into trouble and they could not talk about it. A lot of children got abused in those times. Okay, abuse has been there. It's always been there. Now we're going about, some of us, because of what it is that we went through in those times, that we're insisting that our parents did right by us, because of the experiences that we have. That's why you can't leave your children for 2 minutes. You are practically, you have barricades and physical and all types of shielding and over shielding the children today, because of some of the experiences that we went through in those times that were insisting that was okay. A time where you lived in a home and all kinds of people had access, and your parents were not careful enough to see the right under their nose. People were being, their children were being abused and couldn't say a thing because it was taboo. All right. So these are some of the issues, right? The other one is our parents employed strict discipline, okay, often involving physical punishment, and all of that. I remembered growing up, I've shared the story before. I had these neighbors that came to live around, and when they came around, one of their sisters limped. She limped when she walks. She walked with a kind of limp, And one day we were having a conversation, and story led to story, and my friend actually told me that it was her dad that actually did that to the sister. And why is that? Because this person, as my friend, she was a bit older, right? Used to get into trouble a lot with her father, right? One day they said that she stole something from the house, So it's either she went to take food, meat, or she did this, or she did that. Things that we can see clearly today, that probably the child was hungry, or the child that hasn't been taught how to delay gratification and all of that, wants to buy biscuits or wants to buy something outside, and she goes to pick from her mom's purse or from what her mom has sold, and all of that. So she will come home, and dad will come home, and he will beat her up, and he will make marks on her body, right? Marks on her body, and he will put pepper and tie her and leave her outside. So it was so known, right? This particular girl, it was so known that, everybody knew her in the everybody knew her in the community as that really stubborn child, or as that child that was always being beaten and pepper was rubbed all over her. So she doesn't even, a lot of times she can't even say, she can't even talk, in school and all of that. People were always, trolling her, and all of that. So imagine what that would have done to her self-esteem. Imagine what that would have done to her confidence level, right? She was really loud. Now, a lot of people would think that this child was being loud and out there, and they would think of it as, but it wasn't positive. It was probably her only way to survive at the time. She had to look for some survival mechanism, and all of that. So these are some of the issues. And she told me how her sister had done something, and her father was going to beat her, and her sister was running, and the father had something in his hand that was sharp, and he threw it at her, and it landed at her, somewhere around her heels, basically, and probably affected a nerve there or something like that. And that's it. That child was deformed, or that deformity came about as a result of that. So our parents use some of these really hard, physical punishments. Okay, I know how some people will still tell the story and say how, oh, that's how they reset our brain. This mark that I have here, they boasted about leaving you with a mark that you will never forget. You do something and the parents will actually take a mark. I know, I mean, there are all kinds of stories. Let's not go into stories that are traumatic. So these are some of the things. The focus was on academic achievement above emotional well-being, and of course, mental health and all of that. Children were forced, children were drilled, we were stretched. It was all about coming first, first, first. Children were, children were trolled at home, children were compared at home, children were treated badly at home. You come home and your brother comes first, right, in his own class, and then you come 20 in your class. The whole holiday, you are made miserable the entire holiday because you are being compared with this person. So that led to a lot of hatred among siblings. It led to siblings rivalry. It made a mess. All right, it made a mess. It made a lot of mess to how we were raised, or how children were raised back then, right? Basically, so these are the issues. Now, in modern times, the focus is on nurturing emotional intelligence. Okay, we want to nurture children who are emotionally intelligent. We want to work on the children's social skills and ability to make social connections. We want to build children whose self-esteem is loaded, children who are bold, and children who are confident. All right, so this is the emphasis. So this is the contrast between that generation and our generation. And as a parent, if you don't know this and if you're not applying this, it becomes difficult for you to be a positive parent. Okay, the other thing is emphasis today is on open communication, collaboration, and mutual respect. All right, we want to communicate with our children. We want to understand how you should, try to understand how your child is feeling per time, why your child doesn't want a particular thing and why they want it. All right, these are the kind of things that we should be doing in world. If you are still stuck in that place where your parents were stuck, you are wrong. Without missing words, dear parents, you are wrong. Emphasis today should be on open communication. Keep a communication line that your child can always reach you through, whatever it is. If you make a decision, let your child be bold enough to give you time, right, to cool down or whatever it is, and still come and try to negotiate. If you are in that space where your children can have you make a decision and they come back and try to reason it out with you, you have done a great job, because it means that there is a communication line that is open and your child knows that they can access that communication line. It is very important. Okay, if you want to be a positive parent, you want to apply positive parenting in your parenting. The emphasis today should be on recognizing the importance of play, creativity, exploration, their talents, their interests. This is what we do in the Mastermind Circle. We take all of this and we apply it in the system that we run in the Mastermind Circle. So if you're a parent who is still struggling with all of this, bring your child to the Mastermind Circle, because when your child comes to us in the Mastermind Circle, it means that you also have access to us in the Mastermind Circle. And so now we are working together. As I say to the parents, we don't have a threefold relationship. When it's you, the children, we are constantly looking at what is beneficial to the child first, because the child is our main focus. Your child is your focus, the child is our focus. So at every time the child comes first in our conversation, and in the conversations and in the decisions we are making. So that way we're able to, help the children or support them actively or effectively, rather, basically. So this is it, and we're able to work with you so that you can apply best practice. You can apply, right? We're not just doing modern, today, just do it anyhow, do what works for you. No, that's not what we are doing. We are actually about positive parenting, not about not about mediocre kind of parenting. We're not about following the crowd. We're not about doing what works for you. We're not about doing allowing the child to be whatever they want to do. No, we're not about that. We're about Real positive parenting with values, boundaries, and principles, where values, boundaries, and principles apply, where your convictions become your children's, become your children's guiding light, where we put you and we put ourselves in the place where we can work with your child to the point that your child can love us, can trust us, and can begin to, accept our convictions. When our children accept those convictions begin to form, the convictions now form the standard for your child. And before you know it, it's not you dragging the child anymore. It's not forcing the child. It's the fact that your child is convinced about what it is that you are convinced about. And so this becomes your child's own convictions and becomes your child's own ideology. Your forms their belief systems, their mindset, and voila, you have a child that you have raised the way you have planned to raise them. So this is what we are talking about. All right. So these are it. These are it. Okay. So we're talking about, parenting, in a way that the focus is on the child's strength. The children are able to focus on their strength, and the children are able to focus on giving back to their community. So the focus is not on academic success. The focus is on the value that you have as a person, the value that you carry as a person, and how that value can be used to solve problems in your environment, in your community, and in the world, so that you can impact the world. This is the focus of today's parenting, as opposed to, oh, come first, do well, come first, so that you can get a good job, so that you can have a job that can sustain you. These are the things that our parents talked about. They talked about us having the right kind of job. That is, how did they used to put it? They used to say job security. That's how they put it. They will tell you government job. They will tell you to become a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer, or get a government job. They tell you these are the jobs that have security. They tell you these are the jobs that you will always have jobs. These are the jobs that you can get into government. So you will see that the emphasis was always about you getting into a place so that you know that you are secure. So that's why they wait and they fix us in places. Our parents, they will boastfully say it, especially if you have African parents. They will boastfully say how their job is to give you an education and then get you a secure job. When they get you a secure job, they finished. Do you understand? Because the emphasis is on you getting what it is that will help you have food in your mouth. So look at it critically, dear parents. Let's look at it critically. The emphasis was simply on surviving. Our parents practically raised us to survive. Do get a job. So that's why when you brought a man home, or when you were ripe for marriage, all they were thinking or looking at is husband material, wife material. What is husband material? The man that has a good job, the man that fears God. Come and ask what the litmus for finding out that a man fears God. Ask them what that litmus was. What church? He goes to the church that I go to. Bakam. That's it. What's the litmus for that the man fears God? He has a Bible or he has a Quran in his house. He knows how to pray. Whether he lived by the principles, nobody knew. Nobody cared. It was just simple. Oh, he's Anglican, I'm Anglican. How come he knows God? Do you understand? So these are the issues. We said things that we did nothing to actually find out if those things were real or if those things were true. Right? And then the other one, they ask you, what does he do for a living? What does he do for a living? Meaning, what job does he do? They've forgotten that he can actually have that job today and he can lose that job in 2 days' time, or he can lose that job in 1 week time. They've forgotten that he can actually have the job today and he loses the job and doesn't have a job for 30 years, for 10 years, for 20 years. Right? Because our parents were that superficial. We're not looking at the value. What value did he have? What value does he carry? Who is this person? What does this, what is the person's mindset? Which job? He's a lawyer. Hey. He's a doctor. Where does he works in the bank? That's it. So these are the issues. So if you go by what it is that, what our parents did, if you go by that, you will lose, you will lose track completely. Okay, you will lose track. So let's look at today's world, what your child today is. Your child is a technology native. Your child is born in a generation where technology is a thing. They will never know a time without technology. Your child is a technology native. So in your parenting, you must recognize this and you must use this to harness your parenting. All right. So there are there are unique challenges that come with this, no doubt. Okay, for instance, navigating the digital world, managing screen time, and addressing cyberbullying. These are some of the issues that you would have to position yourself as a parent to deal with if you're raising children in this generation. So how are you equipping yourself in these areas? That's why I say you need to belong to communities where you are taught, where you are guided, where communication on these issues are constantly ongoing. Leave all this. They say we should not beat, they say we should not yell at our children. Some of us, the only thing that we think about when it comes to parenting is whether we should beat, whether we should scream, whether we should fight with our children or not. So everything and every conversation that we are saying, all that we're talking about, parenting effect, you don't want to hear. Your only way, or the only thing you see when they say parent coaches or the only thing you see is don't beat, don't hear. So you leave all the knowledge and all the education and wisdom that you can get on the table of you want to beat and fight your child, or you'll be fighting now. So do you understand? There's so many things. Put yourself in communities where these conversations are ongoing. Please put yourself in communities like that. All right, bring your children to communities like the Mastermind Circle, where we can continue with these conversations, basically with the children. As you are learning and you are growing, your child is learning and your child is growing. Let's fill their minds with the right kind of conversation. If you don't, you will leave them with people whose conversation are superficial, and so your child is not growing the way they should grow. All right, utilizing technology for learning, creativity, and social connection. So, yes, you must know what the children are about in this time. You must know the jobs, you must know the careers, you must know the things, right, that children do and they spend their time doing in this generation, so that you can guide your child effectively. When you don't know these things, your children will come and they bamboozle you with the things and the tales that they tell, because you don't have an idea, you don't know anything. So you must know these things. Very important. Know these opportunities, okay? Of course, you must also have that communication, as I said, open, where you can continue to have these conversations. All right. So let's look at the advantage of positive parenting. I will be gone in the next 3 minutes. Let's look at the advantage of positive parenting. Number one, all right, it will create stronger self-esteem for your children. When you are a positive parent and you have done everything that we talked about when we were talking about what you do for you to know, or what you do that you know that you are a positive parent. When you apply all of those things, we talked about you being empathetic, having open communication, setting clear goals, boundaries in your home, clear and consistent boundaries in your home, patience and understanding. When you have all of these things in your home, right, one of the advantages is that you will raise children who are, of course, very you raise children who, of course, who have a good self-esteem, who have a good sense of who they are. Of course, children who feel valued and loved, okay, and who feel capable, always have good self-esteem. All right. It will help to enhance their social skills. Children who are raised by parents who are this open-minded, parents who listen to them, parents who communicate with them, parents who listen to their perspective, parents who share their perspective, parents who are emotionally responsive, parents who validate them. When you do this, you are, of course, helping your child to develop emotional regulation. So your child is able to also regulate their emotions. When you are like this, it means that tendency are you will be a calm parent, and a parent, of course, who talks and speaks to your child respectfully. When you do this, your child learns to speak to you and speak to other people respectfully. Children like this are able to connect with people because they have etiquette. Children like this know how to talk. They know when to talk. They know how they are articulate. Children like this, your child will be so empowered if if you can practice parenting. Our children will be so empowered. And so, of course, You will raise children who have social skills. Children develop empathy, compassion, and of course, a strong relationship. Ability to build relationship when they have parents who are positive, or when they are raised, by parents who are practicing positive parenting. All right, number three, of course, your children will be resilient. All right, your children will be resilient. I talked to you, I spoke about how, sorry, it's so hot. So I spoke about, how our children today almost didn't go to school, right? Because you didn't meet the time, and the consequences, like, you stayed back. And of course, they came to negotiate and say, what if we're able to, like, put all of this, clear everything in the next 20 minutes? So they got to read sharp, sharp, sharp. And then after that, part of the consequence, we can't drop you off. You have to pay for the transport to go. And of course, they took public transport and they went. So when you're a positive parent and you're applying all of these things, you will raise children who are resilient. You will raise children who are resilient. Children learn to cope with challenges, they learn to cope with setbacks effectively, and they learn to stretch themselves. You will raise children who are successful academically. Academic success will become easy peasy. Sometimes we focus on academic success, and then at the end of the day, our children struggle because we're pulling and stretching them. If we can leave that and focus on behavior, focus on them understanding the place of value, impact, empathy, and all of that. When you have children who know how to manage themselves, children who know how to manage their emotions, children who know how to build social network, I promise you, all of this will trickle down and you will see them even in your child's academic success. So, academic success is the fruit of many other things. Stop focusing on your child going to school, doing lesson, doing this, doing that. Sometimes you will just get them to pass and all of that, and this other part of their lives they will struggle with. Okay, and of course, at the end of the day, in the big picture, the child will still struggle. All right, the children are able to build relationships. I talked about that. All right, it increases resilience, academic success, and all of that. So these are some of the importance of positive parenting. Now let's talk about the legacy of positive parenting before I go. All right, breaking intergenerational circles. If you are able to bring yourself to that place where you can look at what we just talked about, we looked at, what it was like, in the last century, raising children in the last century, and in 21st century, we have looked at this. If you're able to look at this critically and you're able to, be truthful to yourself, you will realize that there are a lot of circles that you will break. You will break circles that your great grandparents probably passed down to your grandparents and they passed down to you. You're able to break them because now you are positive. By choosing positive parenting, you can break circles of negative parenting, all right, negative parenting patterns, and you will create a healthier and really more supportive environment for your child and for the future generation. If we can look at these things closely, you realize that you will create new patterns that your children can take and apply in their own generation and with their own children. Raising responsible and compassionate citizens. Yes, if we're able to look at it, right, if our parents did everything right, why are we so corrupt as a generation? Why are we so lazy as a generation? Why are we not empathetic as a generation? If we could apply positive parenting and do the things that we're talking about today, we will find out that positive parenting will help us raise children who are kind, children who are empathetic, children who are responsible. And of course, this will trickle down into the society. We will begin to see more government officials who are empathetic. We'll begin to see more leaders who are empathetic. We'll begin to see more people who are supportive of each other. We'll begin to see more people who are kind to each other. These are some of the things that positive parenting would do for us if we can start practicing positive or intentional parenting today. Lastly, it will leave a lasting impact, dear parents. The positive impact of your parenting will be felt by your children. Come on now. It will be felt by your children, and this becomes your children's nature. And of course, this is passed down. It will be felt by your children throughout their lives. Your children are able to replicate it in the life of other people. Your children are able to pass this down to their children, and it becomes a generational legacy. So, positive parenting is a way of life that every parent in this generation, every parent today must apply if you want to raise children or if you want to leave a legacy that will transcend you. If you want to leave a legacy that will be passed down from your children, even to their children, and many generations after you, that it is time to begin to look at some of those negative patterns that did not serve us and begin to replace them with positive patterns in our positive parenting so that we can leave a legacy. I am going to stop here for now. Thank you so much for joining me today. All right, we want to partner with you to support your children. We want to partner with you to help you pass down this legacy. We want to partner with you to raise children who can impact a whole generation and more generations after them. We want to partner with you to raise children who can be the best versions of themselves today. All right. And we can do this with you if you enroll your children to be a part of the Mastermind Circle, our peer mentorship and accountability group that we run for young children between ages 6 or 5 and 14. We just started a new cohort of the Mastermind Circle. It's called the Foundation Cohort. Induction happened this weekend. But hey, it's a whole from now to the 30th. You can still jump in before we close the registration permanently for the year. So if you can register your child between now and the 30th of January, you still get a chance to be a part of of the mastermind circle. So yes, your 5-year-old, it is time to start sowing the seeds. For your 6, your 8, your 10, and even for your 13-year-old, it's not late. Let us sow the right seeds so that we can have or we can begin to leave our children with a legacy that we want them to pass down to generations even after us and theirs. Thank you again for joining me. Thank you for being a part of this. Let us know, that you got value from this session. Share with us. Share with us you have the information also. Sorry. You have the information that you need on the screen. So we have the information scrolling right now on your screen. You can use that information, screen grab it, and use it to join the Mastermind Circle. All right? Yes, share this with your friends. Share the link to the stream with your friends so that they can also catch a replay, and then, of course, be a part of all that we do here and what we do in the Mastermind Circle. Thank you again. Have a wonderful week ahead. My name is Maribeth Chima, and yes, I'm always excited to be a part of your parenting journey. And yes, I am that one that is constantly rooting for your school age children and your preteens. They have a full mentor in me. If I'm not mentoring your preteen, who is? Thank you again. Have a fantastic rest of the day. Bye.